Next on Worcester News tonight, the Patriots are heading to the Super Bowl, and fans are heading out to buy championship gear. Plus, a legacy of public service. Westborough's police chief is retiring after more than 40 years at the department. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. Foggy weather tonight causing problems with flights at the Worcester Regional Airport. All flights going in and out of Worcester Regional Airport were diverted to Boston Logan Airport. Thick fog surrounding the area created low visibility, causing problems for incoming and outgoing flights to take off and land. Buses to Logan Airport were at the Worcester Regional Airport for passengers who showed up to board their flights to Florida this evening. Switching gears now, following their victory over Jacksonville, the Patriots are now gearing up to play in their second straight Super Bowl. The Pats will face the Eagles at the new U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. But for fans, getting to the big game is not an easy or inexpensive task. Our Cam Jandro joins us now live with those details. Cam?
Yeah, Anna, it can be argued that the Super Bowl is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, sporting event of the year. And recently, it's been nearly impossible to get your hands on a set of tickets. But for Patriots fans, that's not going to stop them from hitting the road to Minneapolis.
For the third time in 4 years, the Patriots have earned their way to the Super Bowl. And less than a day after their conference championship, fans are getting ready to make the trip with them.
We did have a very busy day today in terms of inquiries, requests for information. I think a lot of would-be travelers and sports fans out there are weighing the options when it comes to cost.
And costs will be high. As of Monday, AAA says ticket packages for Super Bowl 52 start around $4,000 each. Flights out of the Boston area to Minneapolis are quoted as high as $1,200. However, Massachusetts spokesperson Mary McGuire says flying isn't the only option for Pats fans.
With a national average for gasoline of $2.53, which is today's average, a car that gets you about 20 miles to the gallon, you can drive round trip from the Boston area to Minneapolis for just over $350.
Rusty Clifford has been a Patriots season ticket holder for nearly a decade and was also in attendance for Sunday's win. Clifford began planning his trip just moments after Dion Lewis sealed the win for the Patriots, but he says flying into Minnesota was just too much.
Minneapolis was like $900 round trip. Flying to Chicago was $90 each way, so we had a rental car and a 6-hour drive ahead of us, and hopefully we get some tickets.
Season ticket holders for each team are picked at random for the chance to buy Super Bowl seats. Clifford, who's never been picked, says regardless of the lottery, he's going to be at Super Bowl 52.
Hopefully we'll keep our fingers crossed and we get them that way. If not, we'll try to find another way to get some tickets. If we get tickets ahead of time, so be it, but if not, we'll try to get them when we're there.
Now, McGuire says if you do plan on going to the Super Bowl, buy your tickets as soon as possible because over the next 2 weeks, prices are just going to continue to skyrocket. And if you are buying your tickets online, it's important to be wary of any possible scams. Anna, I'll be watching it from my couch.
Absolutely. Hey, not a bad plan to drive either.
True.
Not too expensive. Thanks for that, Cam. Following Sunday's win in the AFC Championship game, many fans spend the day Monday gearing up with championship merchandise. Our Rosalind Flaherty has more on Pats fans' celebrations.
A nail-biter of a game ends in celebration. The New England Patriots win another AFC championship and are heading back to the Super Bowl.
Today's a very exciting day. This was by far the loudest game I've ever been to.
Tim Downing was sitting in the end zone, where Danny Amendola caught the game-winning touchdown.
Literally, there was 50 guys just hugging and high-fiving the whole fourth quarter.
And were you part of that?
I was. My glasses got knocked off like this a few times, and hats flying, and it was just really spectacular. It's the best game I've ever seen.
He and other Pats fans kept the celebration going at Dick's Sporting Goods in Worcester Monday, getting their hands on the very latest merchandise.
AFC t-shirt right now until we win the Super Bowl, and then we'll go from there. We'll get one of those also.
I'm so happy that we came out here, and I want to buy some gear and get ready for the Super Bowl in 2 weeks.
Although even the truest fans had some doubts going into the third quarter after Gronk left the game,
I was nervous for sure. The Patriots looked like they were struggling.
they believe in the power of the Patriots.
Somehow we always seem to pull it off at the end.
We're the best team around.
Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
Switching gears now, a West Boylston man charged with motor vehicle homicide is sentenced to 2 years at the Worcester County House of Corrections Monday. Prosecutors say 23-year-old Vincent Green was driving drunk when he struck and killed a pedestrian in 2016. Green left the scene of the crash. 56-year-old Frank Jeffrey Call was discovered by a truck driver on the side of the road and pronounced dead at the hospital. An autopsy determined he died as a result of blunt force trauma consistent with being struck by a vehicle. According to the Worcester County District Attorney's Office, Green will serve 2 years in the Worcester County House of Corrections and 18 months probation. MassWildlife has proposed a leash and waste disposal regulation to keep management areas clean and safe. MassWildlife says the regulations are due to repeated complaints from people about encounters with unleashed dogs and issues with dog waste. The new regulations would include requiring dogs not being used for hunting, fishing, or training be leashed, and dog owners must pick up after their pets. In a statement from EEA spokeswoman Katie Gronendijk, she says MassWildlife takes seriously its responsibility to strike a balance between protecting the Commonwealth's wildlife while ensuring access to public lands. A public hearing on the regulations will be held at MassWildlife headquarters on February 6th. It wasn't what he planned to be his forever job, but after 4 decades at the department, Westborough Police Chief Alan Gordon is retiring. And while he'll miss the job, he says it's time to let someone else take over. Our Chandler Walsh has more on Chief Gordon's retirement.
Alan Gordon is hanging up his hat as Westborough Police Chief. He'll retire at the end of January, capping off his 43-year career.
It's been a wonderful trip for me. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I'm certainly going to miss it.
Gordon joined the department's Explorer post as a high school student in 1974. He says he immediately enjoyed how the job was different every day.
You don't look at it back, when you're in high school and think, oh, that's going to be my career forever. Here we are 43 years later and never would have envisioned anything like this happening.
Chief Gordon says he's proud to have spent his career in one department. Growing up in Westborough, he says the town means a lot to him.
I love the interaction that I get with the community. I love to go in the schools. I love reading to the little kids.
He's very, very easy to work for. He's the same person that you see on the street that he is in here.
Natalie Bruce has been Gordon's administrative assistant since he became chief in 2002. She's worked with him since 1984 and says there will be a void once he retires.
Won't quite be the same, not seeing him every single day, but I wish him all the best and much happiness.
Chief Gordon says he feels he's left a mark during his 15 years as chief. He says he's enjoyed seeing how the department has changed and grown. And he hopes for the next chief to leave a mark as well.
There's so many different things that a new chief can do, and it'll leave the thumbprint but also make it a much better place.
Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
It's an issue City Manager Edward Augustus has been working on for the past year. Parking at the Worcester Senior Center has always been free, but when the owner of the lot wanted the city to pay up, it was time for change. The city manager is seeking authorization for Worcester to buy the St. Vincent Hospital property next to the Senior Center. Augustus recommends the city spends $385,000 on the purchase. The City Council will take up the city manager's recommendations Tuesday night. Honoring the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr., UMass Medical School hosts its 30th annual tribute. Dozens gathered to remember Dr. King while also honoring work done by students and staff at the medical school. Featured speaker Phil Darius Wallace is an actor and writer from Memphis, the city where King was killed by snipers' bullets 50 years ago. Wallace reminded the audience to keep pushing forward no matter what hurdles or controversies are pushed their way. Drug overdoses are on the rise in Worcester, but the possibility of creating safe spaces for drug users to inject is not something the city is looking at right now. It's been discussed in the other parts of the state, and as our Brittany Schaefer explains, city administrators say there are other steps to take first.
Data collected by the Worcester Police Department shows drug overdoses were on the rise again in 2017.
That is higher than what we were last year. So we really need to put things in place to start bringing these numbers down and really start treating people.
Not counting the month of December, there were 62 fatal overdoses in the city last year. The Massachusetts Medical Society now supports the idea of supervised injection sites to lower overdose fatality numbers. But leaders like Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker and City Manager Ed Augustus seem opposed.
The governor's expressed reservations about that, and I have some reservations. Where would it be? How would it be supervised? It's not something we're looking at right now.
Worcester's Commissioner of Health and Human Services says the city could benefit from the supervised sites.
It decreases mortality. It brings people into treatment because now they're developing a rapport with you and you start bringing in people into treatment.
But Dr. Maddie Castile says there are other steps the city should take before starting these sites.
My feeling is that we could use that at some point. I would rather spend most of my time thinking about how do we work with the hospitals to try to get primary care physicians and everyone in the hospital really to start treating addiction.
One recent step taken in Worcester is the needle exchange program at AIDS Project Worcester, where people can exchange used needles for clean ones. Augustus says this has been a great way to get addicts the proper treatment.
It's a point of contact, which is really the design of the program, to allow them to talk about healthcare needs, testing, other things that hopefully get people who are ready for treatment into treatment.
Really, we have to put all hands on to really work at this issue.
Now, Dr. Castile says the closest program in Massachusetts to the safe injection sites is called Spot in Boston, where people can inject themselves and then after be monitored by nurses. Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.